All right. Welcome, my friends, to the next episode of Phase 10. I am joined here by Trevor, Gunner, Ryan, and one of the newest additions to the Zenith roster as coach. We are joined by Wolf. My friends, thank you all for coming and hanging out with us. We are going to kind of be covering a couple things today, specifically just the Challenger Cup results, of course, and then take a little bit of a deeper dive into team synergy, for lack of a better term, right? But let's get right into it real quick here. Let's get boom, Challengers results. So the Challengers Cup was definitely something to watch. A bit of wild moments, a bit of not so wild moments, and everything random in between. But let's get right into it with Gravity. Gravity day one. They were looking like they had a pretty difficult day up until like match 4. At match 4, these guys just went off the rails, and pretty much everything from that point forward was just their game. You know, with how they played, I'm glad they'll get another showing because I think it'll be only a matter of time before they kind of find out that balance for their gameplay and then improve as a team. And if they can manage to play PCS like they did in Challengers Cup, I see no reason they can't compete for like a left leaderboard finish. But Trevor, let's start with you, my friend. What are your thoughts on how Gravity played?
Sorry, I had my thing muted. Gravity, I mean, we were kind of talking about it beforehand a little bit, but in all this whole tournament felt like really sloppy across the board from a lot of players. And I felt like it just ended up being the teams with the better players just rose to the top, the mechanically better players just rose to the top. And so yeah, like Gravity has good, better players in the majority of the lobby, and then they just kind of fragged harder, and then they more experience, so they got better positions in the circle, and they just have more the experience and the mechanical level kind of carried them in that sense, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why they ended up on top, in my opinion.
Got you. Fair enough. Fair enough. Wolf, did you get a chance to catch them, and what were your thoughts?
I watched a little bit. That's back-to-back Challenger Cup wins for Gravity, right? Didn't
I
they win in
believe,
PCS2 as well?
I
Yeah, it
believe
was.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would say in regards to the rest of the teams, they actually know what rotating properly means because they are always in game-winning spots, and a lot of other teams feel like they see a team, they fight a team, and it's like
Mm.
really sloppy, but Gravity definitely pays attention to how the micro of the game is, and they're really good about it versus all the other teams, in my opinion, at least.
Gotcha. Gotcha. How about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on Gravity's play?
Well, I feel like it wasn't too much different from like any of the other teams, to be honest. I don't know. It just seems to me it was more of like they just, I mean, I guess you could sit there and say they put themselves in those situations, but I wasn't like sitting there like, oh, this team is clearly the number one team in this lobby. Like
Mm-hmm.
it just seemed to me like they just happened to be the ones that were that were like getting, I don't know, that were just fragging out. Another game they wouldn't do that hot, and another team would frag out. It was just like I don't know. I
Mm.
just never saw consistency from any of the teams, honestly, of like where they seemed to know what they were doing, game in, game out. But I mean, that's hard to even see in PCS. So I don't know.
This is true. This is true. How about you, Gunner? What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they played well because they won. You're not going to win if you play poorly. But I was happy to see Painkill like show up and had some clutch plays and some big moments because I love that guy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was they played good because they won. But I kind of like what they were saying. Like I did like a watch party on the stream of the whole event, and it was an absolute mess. Like these, and it was a disaster. The teams like did didn't do anything what obviously I don't expect them to listen to me, like, but I told teams they should do research, they should do things like, I mean, it, it just like they just play to play, which is upsetting because this is supposed to be the Challenger Cup, like the basically like the MPLC or like the tier two teams or players that are grinding up to be a top team, and it's just like I mean, not from Gravity. Like, I know we're supposed to be talking about Gravity, but I couldn't let this point slip my mind of the
Hmm.
simple fact that 95% of these teams do zero research, and and what seems like they don't really give a shit. Like, they may scrim and they scrim against each other, but I find it very hard to believe that these teams are like looking at the VODs of the scrims and actually like studying and figuring out what teams do around them, or what they could do better, because it is just so freaking sloppy. Like, you just don't see consistency at all, and you just see a ton of mistakes and just sloppy team fights. And I mean, overall, it was a pretty disappointing watch on my end, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
Next team. And do it
fair.
again.
Fair.
Gravity won and did great.
Hmm.
And I'm not directing this at them in no means. It's just, I mean, the event was a mess. Go on.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it. The next team though would be KEKW Keyers, and they came out of the Challenger Series swinging and got the highest placement amongst those teams. And to me, when they were playing on all cylinders, they kind of looked like a PCS team to me. They were mechanically capable, and they proved they have the strategy. If I could talk, the strategy necessary to kind of pull it all together. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they'll adapt to a higher tier of play when it comes time for them to compete again. And I think if they continue to evolve as a team and put in the work that I know they're putting in, I think we could definitely see something happen from them to become a left leaderboard team. Uh, but Wolf, what are your thoughts on KEKW?
I've been out of the loop for a little bit, so I'm actually trying to figure out who exactly is on the roster.
No worries, no
You
worries.
could help me out there.
Yeah, no
Wolf
worries.
filled in last minute
Yeah.
tonight, by the way.
Yeah, Wolf. Yeah, FYI, yes, he's definitely, he came clutch for us because Logic was feeling a little under the weather and so forth. So please give him time. But what I'll do for now, I'll go on to Ryan then. Ryan, what were your thoughts on the Keyers?
Uh, Honestly, it seemed mostly mechanics and just like being able to shoot people well that got them their points. I
Yeah.
wasn't seeing like, I mean, I could probably say that about all these teams that we're going to be talking about, is that most of their success was just they were just mechanically better than the teams that they were fighting.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, that's kind of the summary of it.
I mean, that goes back to my entire point of the teams that, you know, I mean, maybe in their minds they don't realize that they're not like as mechanically like good as other teams, but like, you know, that's where you kind of have to make up for it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a team that obviously is good enough to make it this far, um, you know, and you don't feel like as confident as other teams probably do, like you should make up for it with their knowledge and just like studying and stuff like that. Like, it's just a lot of times in all around the world in different regions and top teams, it's not just for the best fraggers on one team, and that's why they're successful, right? It's a mix, and it's a chemistry of different things, and it's hard work and preparation that will put teams that are even mechanically, it'll put that team above the other one, because of consistency. With KEKW Keyers, obviously I love this team. And they were pretty much the one team that I, really, really was rooting for throughout the entire process, because, I know they have a bunch of grinders on their team that, care about the game and care about their performance, and individually consistently strive to get better and play better. I mean, obviously, how much time Rhett puts into the game, Phluxy, and simply Matt, and he's playing right now with like Hwin, and just that right there, he's playing with Hwin, and I know him as a player. He's probably taking it a little differently than Hwin is, right? He's probably almost learning in a sense, and just getting knowledge and retaining it. So I have a lot of respect for this team, and I love this team, and I'm whatever they qualified for. I mean, because I don't freaking know. I'm happy that they did.
I feel you. I agree. Trevor, anything you wanted to add to that for the Keyers?
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I'm just reiterating what's said though. Like, they're just a team that seemed mechanically better than the rest of the lobby, and they kind of seemed like they were knowing what they were doing, like more so than the rest of the lobby. Like they're only 3 placement points off of what Gravity had. Like they're consistently in a good position throughout the tournament. And kind of what Gunner's saying, there are maybe a group of guys that seem like they put more time in, and it's good to see people that put more time in get rewarded like they did as well. So, whatever the future holds, like Gunner's saying, like I hope maybe they can continue to grow and carve out themselves a spot here and, continue to improve. But yeah, I'm happy those guys did well. They were, I think, in all of us when we had guesses on who would make it through, and when we picked the 3 teams, we all picked them. So they came in second.
Definitely. Wolf, was there anything you wanted to add to that, or should we move on to the next?
I finally found out who was on the team, so that's a start. And these guys, their names are not new at all. They have been grinding, and it just makes sense that they're doing well now because they literally have never given up, and I'm glad to see them popping off.
Definitely. I can't take anything away from that at all. But let's talk about Clueless, actually. And we spoke about how we had high hopes, right? They would just kind of sit in here and just roll the lobby, basically. And sure, they fell a little bit short of Gravity, and sure, they fell a little bit short of the Keyers, but I think we got at least a good showing from them overall, at least comparatively to how they did in PCS. And this is certainly the Clueless I wanted to see in PCS. I wanted to see them be a little bit more aggressive. I wanted to see them kind of push forward as a team. Sharu came alive. It was great to see that. There's some things that happened. Obviously, not everything worked out to their benefit, but I think that we could see something great if they're able to find a way to play that style of play with that level of aggression that they had when it did come out, but at a higher level. But Gunner, let's start with you, my friend. What are your thoughts on Clueless?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I think we all kind of knew they were going to qualify. Like, that goes without saying. I think it's another team that just basically benefited from the fact that they're just better than most of the other people in the lobby, and the people that aren't as good as them just, like I said, just wing it and just don't give a shit, and they're just they're there to be there, and they're there to play. Yeah, a team like that is just going to benefit from that that situation. When you have a team that's just thrown together and just they make the round 32, and then they make the round 16, and then they make the freaking Challenges Cup. Like at that point they think that they could do it. They think they can get top 8. So all the preparation and shit just goes out the window. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I watched every single game on my stream, and it was one of the biggest waste of times I've ever had watching PUBG. Yeah, I mean, Clueless is a great team, and I'm happy that they made top 8, and I'm happy that they benefited from the fact that they're better than pretty much everyone else in the lobby.
Fair.
Yeah.
Trevor, anything you wanted to add on top of that?
On top of Gunner, in the glorified pub match, the pub stompers stomped.
Yeah.
You ain't lying.
Sharu, the NPL ADR mercenary farmer, did just that, and he farmed and made it. And this is a team that, they kind of came out on Twitter a little bit. I saw Rue post about it. He was calling over this last weekend or whatever, and NHS is going to step down from this roster heading into the whatever's next. And they're going to be LF1, if they're looking for a caller to join them. But that core of those 3, Rue, Hambino, and Nick 101, that's a lot of experience, and they've played at higher levels, and they know how to shoot people, and that's all this tournament was about, was shooting people, really, get the points on the board.
Hey, I also want to point out that last week we hit on the topic that we thought that with that team in their play within the group stages, that we thought that there was some issues with the calling and how they didn't feel on the same page, and obviously that is definitely the case because like you said, Sharu was all of a sudden calling, right, which he wasn't. So obviously there was some clashing of heads going on within that team, which led to a poor performance in the group stages from very capable players, right?
Because we all said before you joined us on the show, Gunner, in the week 1, going into the group stage, okay, Clueless is that team that maybe they're going to challenge one of these resident, middle pack teams. And and get into the final and carve themselves out a spot. Because I mean, Ham's no joke, and Rue's no joke in 1v1 situations, or Nick, and NHS even that for that has been around pretty much all this year. But yeah, there's definitely some cohesive issues within that team about however they got along and played. So, but I mean, they pub stomped in the glorified pub match, so that's what happened.
They did.
So.
That they did. Wolf, was there anything you wanted to throw in there?
Well, Clueless, obviously I've known all of these guys for a long time. Like Gunner said, NHS is stepping down because I think he said he had to play after working all day, and it was like the middle of the night and it was rough, so it was probably really hard. And I think he was more of a tactical player than the rest of the players on the team would like to be. So I think if their new fourth is another aggressive player, maybe like an aggressive caller that plays a more centered early fight play style, that team could actually do pretty well in PCS. Because even when I was playing in PCS 2, they seemed kind of lost in what they were doing. But I think if they can adapt to a more aggressive play style, that they'll be much, much stronger, because they're all insanely talented players. Like, that's a team you look at on paper and you're like, wow, they're actually pretty terrifying to get in a team fight with. Like, those guys don't miss their shots. So
no, they're great players for sure.
Glad to see them still doing well. I actually, looking at the results, would have expected them to do better than they did points wise, but they still did well.
Couldn't agree more. Ryan, what are your thoughts then?
I'm gonna actually speak of mostly what I've seen from them when they'd play against the rest of like PCS, basically. One of the things that we always said about them was that they are dangerous in the sense of like, you give them a fair fight, like they can be dangerous in it. But the thing that we would always say is that they are actually clueless in the sense of like they would just always be in bad positions that would get them killed and like be like an easy team wipe. And it's just like, I mean, if it was a fair fight, like, okay, they can win those, they'll get points on the board, but like, it's really hard to do well when you're not getting fair fights and you're constantly on the losing end of it, or like you're in a bad position, getting shot by multiple teams, that type of stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. But let's migrate on. Let's migrate on to Elusive, because I feel like they maybe heard us when we said we wanted to see some more aggression coming from these boys, and they certainly brought that to the table during Challengers Cup. Some matches worked, others not so much. But I like the steps being taken, most definitely. And I think if they have the pieces necessary to continue on, as a team, they'll perform well if they bring what they brought here into the cup. I think it might be one of those similar situations with some of the other teams we saw where they're trying to go a little bit more aggressive. And I think, yeah, sure, it's easy for us to say that, okay, they're just fragging on people and whatever the case is. But I think for a lot of these teams that did play more passive, they need to find that level of aggression in those higher tier lobbies. It's harder. It's much more punishable, but they need to take that step forward. And if Challenger Cup fragging is what's necessary to make that evolution happen, I think it's worthwhile. But let's go on. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Elusive?
So a lot of these teams that we've talked about, outside of like KEKW obviously being a Challenger Series team coming up, but a lot of these teams are just names that have like kind of been playing in competitive for a while now, right? So it's like, I honestly think that that is the main difference, is that these are players that you would be expecting to outperform the rest of the lobby. Essentially, it's like, I don't know. I mean, in the sense of like, the names, so you expect them to perform compared to an unknown factor. But like Elusive, I mean, has players that I recognize that I know can perform when things are set up for them and are going right. Like they can come out and perform. And in lobbies like this, you're not gonna, how do I word this? The resistance of other teams is going to be lesser because
you're not
they're
gonna
not.
get punished.
Yeah, and so it's like it allows you to perform better. And so it's like players that when they don't get punished can actually like go out and perform, like say on Elusive, Gravity, Clueless. I mean, KEKW Keyers a little bit, like even Liberating, the teams we're going to be talking about coming up. SDR, like these names have been in PUBG for a while, and so it's like if they're not getting punished, they're going to go out and get points.
For sure. Gunner, what are your thoughts on Elusive?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just being blatantly honest tonight. Like it is what it is. If people get mad at me, I don't really give a shit. But pretty much from Elusive to every other team we're going to talk about, I was pretty disappointed. I feel like Elusive was a lot better than how they played. Again, I watched every single game on my stream. I think I love the team and the guys on the team. I think they have a lot of potential. But yeah, I mean, I thought they could have did a lot better. I thought they threw some games. They threw a lot of fights. They were inconsistent. But and they got fourth place, so obviously they did do right things. Again, it's sad to say that it comes back to you could play poorly, but you'll qualify off of just being mechanically better than the rest of the teams. But it's another one of those cases where they are just better than the majority of other players in the lobby, and that basically put them into fourth place. But I hope they're in here because I want their opinion too on how they felt like they played, and I guarantee you it would echo exactly what I'm saying. Like they could have done much better, and there's a few games where like I thought they were in good positions and they um, it just didn't really hit the mark. But I mean it is what it is. Like I said, it's a great team and great players, and they're constantly striving to get better. And I think I hope that core group of teams or players stay together on a team and just keep working on it because there's a ton of potential there. But I mean, I just wasn't like impressed. I guess I don't know.
Fair enough.
And I love you, Sneak Attack. I'm sorry, but I do.
Trevor, anything you want to add to that?
I mean, yeah, it's just going off. I mean, going off of what both Ryan and Gunnar said, it's like these guys have been like in this revolving door of like challenger to PCS, like, or even before that, they were a contender team that would go to relegations. It's like, when are these teams going to figure out what it takes, like them to make that next step to come, like, kind of challenge the established teams?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they get this. They're a good team. Like, well, we all like the guys. They've been around forever. They're competitive. I mean, then they get this big. If it seems like they get this big burst of confidence when they go play against these teams, why does a team like S1 play way more aggressive and way more in people's faces in the Challenger Cup, but when it comes to like a PCS game, they have this reputation of being like the rattiest team in the lobby, and they want to prone it out. And
no, that's comments. That's comments, by the way.
Okay, sorry. Well, pre Vegas comments maybe had that title, but but like, what's it gonna take? Like everyone's rooting for these people because, like, yeah, me and the Gunners teams, we may be at the top right now, but like we want to be challenged because that's gonna make everyone better. Like, what's it gonna take for these teams to take that level of confidence that they can have at a Challenger Cup lobby and bring it into a lobby with our teams?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, they need like I like as much as I've shit on this Challenger Cup all night already. I like the fact that, and I hope that teams get confidence from this and just like, and work from here. Like, so you got these teams, obviously, like, again, we don't know what they qualified for, but hypothetically speaking, say it was a PCS4, like you're starting at a clean slate. You qualified. Everyone's at 0 points. Now, you got to do your research. And what sucks for a lot of these teams, and it definitely hurts these teams, is most of the time they'll come into the lobby and in one group they're looting somewhere, and in the other group they're looting somewhere else, right?
Definitely.
So that right there throws teams off on consistency. Like for us, obviously, like we practice and practice and practice freaking 8 hours a day, looting from the same spot, rotating into different circles. So shit like that obviously is going to hurt these teams. However, that the issues can be mitigated if they just like work hard and figure out like, hey, this is where we're looting. let's start practicing from here, like regardless of what happens. Like I know you get like hot drops and shit in scrims, which blows, but you know it's nothing is stopping them from putting the preparation in. And with a lot of these teams, it doesn't happen. They come into group stages, they're like, oh shit, you know, we just gotta get top 16, you know, so let's just let's just try our best. And like it's that mindset that screws these teams up. When you're playing for top 16, then you're accepting
Yeah.
you're accepting in basically 70% of your games you're going to perform poorly. So they need to have the confidence that they could place top 5, and you strive for top 5, and anything less than that is a failure. And then if you have that mindset, you'll consistently get better. If you're playing for top 16, you're playing to lose, like you really are. So this has nothing to do with S1 at this point. It has to do with the rest of the teams. Like they need to have like that hungry mindset, and just stop playing for top 16, play to
Let it
win.
win the game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you cannot be happy when you're averaging 3 or 4 points a game. Like it's not as we say in the Marine Corps, it's unsat. Like it's not good. Like you can't have it. So hopefully with these teams, they and whatever is to come, they ditch the mindset that it's acceptable to do okay, and it's acceptable to play decent. Like it's. I mean, as I imagine with a lot of the top teams, like you gotta, you know, when
You got to work for
when
it.
you're not getting
Yeah.
like top 5s with a bunch of kills, like it's a pretty shitty game.
Yeah.
So every team needs to adapt that mindset and to be hungry like the top teams are. And when you do that, you'll start developing confidence within each other, and you'll push each other to just get better. So hopefully that happens.
I couldn't agree more. Wolf, was there anything you wanted to add in for Elusive?
We're still on S1, by the way.
I'll be honest, if the little bit of Challenger Cup I watched, I didn't watch S1 because they never really do anything amazing. They just kind of always, like people said, when they're playing in PCS, they are the rattiest team. Like you could
Apparently
randomly
that's comments.
Yeah,
well,
no. I'll
in
explain
my
myself.
experience.
The comments fucking sit in dumpsters. They piss us off. I mean, it has nothing. I'm not saying that they're rats. Like obviously we all know those players, and I love those players. Like when you're fucking pulling up to a compound and these guys are actively playing in dumpsters, like give me a break. Like that shit's gonna piss me off.
I think it might be Zenith. I don't know if you were watching scrims today, but they actually sat in a compound doing nothing. Let us drive straight in.
We had a big talk about that one. Okay.
I mean, they got wiped for it, So
yeah, we had a good talk about that one. Yeah, S1 back when I was playing on Oath and Yahoo and everything. You never knew when you were gonna run into swamp and there's just 4 guys prone, like. No presence. Like
it is a call out. I mean, what was around for that too? Like that there might be a fizzle in a bush, or that's a fizzle. If you see someone laying down somewhere across the map, it's over.
And let's just say I've never been surprised when I went back and watched the VODs and I saw someone on a Stalbert circle boating from Prim south of Millie Island around, maybe swapping out boats in Novo. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that. So I hope that they're working on the rotational part of their game, because it's always been something they were lacking on. Like they've had some pretty good mechanical players, but from what I've seen, they still have a lot of work to do. But I'm glad that they made it back in, and I've heard to this day that Swamp might be pushing. So you never know.
Ryan, is there anything left that we maybe didn't touch on in S1, or are we good to go on? I think we're good to go on.
I'm pretty sure you did. I just rambled for 20 minutes about shit. So.
I think we're good. I think we're good. All right.
Yeah. No, you started with Ryan, then I cut Ryan off and talked for 25 minutes. Yeah. That was on.
I think Ryan's falling asleep back then. There,
Right.
Oh, I'm muted.
Yeah, there you go.
I hear
I was like,
you.
I couldn't hear you. There we go.
Oh, I heard you.
I
Yeah,
get it.
everybody else could hear me.
Okay.
Well, that's okay.
cool.
He didn't really say much anyway because I cut him off and rambled for 40 minutes.
It's okay. I'm used to Owen cutting me or Gunner cutting me off.
Yeah. Was there anything about anything else extra, or should we move on to our boys in Liberate?
Move on. Let's go.
All right.
Honestly,
fair
I
enough.
feel like we could probably just address all the rest of the teams at once.
Okay. All right.
Probably
Let's
could. I was
let's
disappointed in. I mean,
Okay, hey, let's do it. It's all the same to me, because if we're gonna say essentially the same thing across the board, then we might as
there's
well
not
just
much
just
difference.
call
It's
it
the same
out.
song and dance
You know?
the rest of the way through. Yeah.
oh, I
Exactly.
can promise you, it's going to be the same for me. Liberate. I was very disappointed. However, I give them benefit of the doubt because they obviously have some. They're working on like newer player. Like maybe Baja at one point was one of the best players in North America, hands down. Like nobody could take that away from him. I personally believe it. I think he has. I mean, from my experience, I think he has some of the best comms out of any PUBG player that's ever played the game. And if someone tried to tell me anything else, I don't give a shit about your opinion because I know it's true. However, obviously, him coming back and taking a break, obviously it affected them. But
Mhm.
I mean, again, like I
We got our
definitely
hearts
expected.
back.
I expected more from them, but I'm sure we're only seeing like a glimpse of what the team's potential truly is. Ascendance, completely disappointed with them. I was talking with their coach on a few things like that while the games were happening and while I was watching the games. And me and him were just going back and forth on some of the mistakes that the team made, and just bouncing some ideas and shit off of each other. And he knows obviously the team made a lot of mistakes, but as I said last week, I think that team has a lot of potential and fully capable players on it. So it really sucks when you see players like that making a lot of small mistakes, and just from the outside looking in, possibly like needing to be micromanaged by either an IGL or a coach or something. Like it's just they find themselves into some rough spots and some rough sends, and um, it is what it is. But before I go down the whole list, because once I get the cozy crew, that's nitrogen. Oh man, I'm gonna wait until I get the cozy crew, so someone else can go about some of the other teams.
Okay, fair
Uh,
enough. Trevor, you should take it away.
Sure. Liberate. I was kind of surprised to see them even come in fifth. Like I thought they'd easily be top three.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off of what Gunner said, like this is like they made it back in, but like they should have won this thing. Like theoretically on paper, like they're probably the best team in the lobby next to Clueless in my mind. I mean, I would joke around with like we're not the biggest fans of them because they loot right next to us and they want to like take half our loot in our area, but hopefully that whatever comes next, they have some time now to figure that out and come back stronger, and hopefully they can find a new loot spot on Miramar, or they'll, we'll figure that. That's on them. And then the last two teams, SCR and Cozy Crew, I feel like they just they just vibed in here. Like they barely qualified over like Pros Don't Snake, and they're just a couple points ahead. And I don't know. It's just off what we were saying before. I think the whole tournament was just kind of sloppy. It's like these mid-pack teams are just sloppy, and they had a few good games here or there. Like each of them had players that kind of popped off for them. I guess Nitrogen on Cozy, and I believe N8 on San Diego Rarity. But yeah, it's like kind of the same old song and dance with all the other teams above them for me.
Agreed. Wolf, was there anything you wanted to add about those teams between Liberate, Ascendance, and SDR?
Ascendance, they've been around for a long time, but a lot of them are newer to the comp scene, and they've been getting better and better. I would expect them to probably place higher than they did, but the other teams, Liberate, San Diego Rarity, and Cozy Crew, obviously are players that have been around since the beginning, and Cozy Crew in particular, like that's a team I look at and I would be like,
Yep.
they should be top 2 in this tourney.
Exactly, 100%. They're
Every
the biggest
time.
disappointment for me.
Without
Oh, look
even
at that
watching,
quote.
seeing them here, like, yeah.
I mean, that's 3 NPL players, like, and Nitrogen, and the other one's Nitrogen, who's been around forever and is a very capable player, you know.
The fact that a team like that had to scrape by to get top 8 is just, I mean, it's actually mind blowing to me. Like, especially because like I hold Nitrogen to a pretty high standard because I've known him since I first freaking started playing PUBG, and like I know the player that he can be and the player that he should be, and it's just, I mean, it hurt watching that team struggle because of how good that team really could be and how much that team should have dominated this lobby. Like it was, I mean, it was just, it was rough to watch. Like the whole tournament was rough to watch and it sucked. But watching them struggle was just mind blowing because the team should have dominated. They should have took over this lobby. They should have won the
Definitely.
entire lobby. And I mean, I really believe that they should have been in first place. Like if you actually swapped that leaderboard around and basically from 8th to first, like basically put Cozy Crew and SDR in first and second, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it
I
wouldn't
agree,
have
actually.
surprised me
Yeah.
and like that, that right there is enough to just be like, wow, what a fucking mess that whole tournament was. Like holy shit. But I mean,
I feel like these guys got to be getting in their own heads when they're playing against worse
100%.
teams. They're panicking and they're not playing PUBG. They're playing some sloppy, like, we can't make mistakes game. They're not like, they're not working together. They're too rigid, I guess, the way they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, same with SDR. Like I said, like I mean, you know, the fact that they were in 7th place, and if we were looking at it upside down and they were in 2nd place, we wouldn't be surprised. Like, you know, there's clearly something was going on there. But yeah, I mean, those two teams were definitely the biggest disappointments to me because, you know, to be fair, you know, not to toot my own horn, I did pick the all 8 teams correctly on my stream that were going to qualify, that did qualify, but you know, what do I know about the game? However, I wasn't expecting this leaderboard to pan out like this, and I wasn't expecting the games to look as they did. But
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
both SDR and Cozy Crew, even Liberate, looking at their roster, are teams I would expect to, even if they get a zone where they don't have a play, they're teams I would expect to win their fights 9 out of 10 times versus any other team in the lobby, to have good games. So I don't really know what exactly happened with them, but they definitely need to watch some VODs and figure out what went wrong.
I'd agree. Ryan, was there anything that you wanted to add in about those 3 teams, or really 4, I guess, if we're throwing in Cozy as well?
I mean, I think the main thing I want to say is, like, for Liberate, I was actually expecting a lot more, and especially just mostly out of Baja himself. Like, I know he hasn't been in the game for a while, but like I feel like it should just be like you pick it up and it's the same. I mean, the game hasn't changed that much. Like the meta of the guns is like whatever. Like that's changed a bit, but I feel like Baja should have been able to come right back and hop right back on the bike and frag out again, especially in a lobby like this where it's not like he's like playing against top competition, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I just think that he specifically underperformed, and if he wants to defend himself, he can. But I mean,
I
otherwise,
mean, I'm
like,
sure he'll agree with you.
yeah, I would hope so at least. But like otherwise, I don't know. It's just I don't know. There's just really not much to say outside of like everybody kind of just like the names that you expected to be able to kill people, killed people, and then they qualified. That
True.
was really it.
True.
How about we change it up? Your boy Ploob's in the chat. What happened with him?
Oh no, no,
I wanna-
no.
I want to hear what Owen has to say about Cozy Crew because
I mean, I told you.
He
I
just
pretty
kinda-
much
like
I said it. Like, I mean, it was just.
I didn't think
That
that
was-
was. I thought you'd be a bit more savage than that, but I guess not.
I mean, look. I mean, like I said, they were my.
We got Ryan and Owen together now. Right
No, I'm
They-
just saying. I was waiting for him to like
I mean,
throw a
I
ringer
did,
out
like,
there, and I was like,
I look. I don't know. I did roast them. Like, I couldn't have been more disappointed with them. I honestly.
you said that about every team.
No, they are my biggest.
They're the
disappointment.
biggest disappointment.
Okay, fair enough.
I expected them to win or to at least. I mean, I expected them to win. I did not call them trash. That is 100% not true.
Kurt's out here instigating.
Of course, he's gonna instigate me. before he came in here, he told me to stop being so nice, and I said, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I should stop being so freaking nice. So there you go.
Fair.
This is his fault.
Fair.
He took me off. He took me off the leash after scrims today, and he said, "Yeah, when you go and do it, you should be more honest and not so nice with the teams." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Maybe I will. Stand by." And now he's telling me I need a mute button, like I'm at a presidential debate.
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you guys. Oh wait, what was that?
Nothing. I'm just making a joke.
No worries, no worries. I was just gonna say because I know that it looked like Ripper was LFT, so I think he might not be on Ascendance anymore, and I know that SDR was looking for one with a crew. So with that said, let me ask you guys: when it comes to Ascendance, if they were to try to target not necessarily a specific player, but a specific type of player, in order to help them push forward, what would you guys suggest they look for?
They tried out Super the other day in scrims, and I'm pretty sure they won scrims, and that was in a PCS lobby. So I guess they would probably want to give him some more time. However, you dodged my point of what happened to your boy Plube, and you didn't answer my question, Phluxy. So maybe we should go and double back to that so I can hear your answer on it.
Okay. So listen, I had the joys of playing with Plube last night and him talking about it a bit. From my understanding, there was a little bit of counter calling that went into play here, and that kind of unfolded from there. I don't want to call out any names of any individual players or anything like that. But what I can say, and I think this is an issue for multiple teams, when you have a player come from one team and go to another, they assume they know every single play that their previous team is going to make at all the times, and they will call for that. And that is an issue I've seen 100 times over. And I'm judging by the smirks and short laughs there. I think it's a really common thing, and I think that's kind of what leaked forward. I don't know. I wasn't there. I couldn't hear inside the comms, but all I can say is that you have to let go of those sort of things. You have to play for the team you're on now. It's easy to say, oh, they might do this, they might do this. God forbid they switch up and actually adapt to a strategy. They might play entirely different, so you have to be smarter than that. Other than that, I think obviously the Ploops team is fully capable of fragging out, but unfortunately you can't just stand in the middle of a field and just dog everybody in the lobby. It's not that anymore. So that's about all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had a chance too, and I think most of the problems with these teams is that they don't have an experienced IGL. So you have a lot of players with different ideas. Like, for our team, for instance, if Party makes a call, we just listen, and that is, I mean, everyone on our team is so experienced. Like literally some of the most experienced players in the game, like international lands, so like literally everything, and they all just shut their mouth and listen. You know what I mean?
Well,
because we have
I'd
a
hope so.
trusted, yeah. Well, we have a trusted IGL,
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm saying.
and with these teams, they don't have an experienced, trusted IGL. So if someone makes a call and the other person thinks differently, they say something about it, and then what you have is 30 seconds to a minute of sitting around the other players discussing, what they should actually do. And then by the time they do it, you're either rotating late and running into other teams that you didn't expect to run into. You're all of a sudden being held out on blue. You're having to make
your
full
timing.
sends. Yeah, exactly. And then that leads to the awful games that we really saw. And then, so I could definitely see that being a problem of the whole, counter calling and everything else. So, I mean, that's like I said, 80% of these teams probably just counter called the entire freaking event. So,
Well, I mean, I think that's just going to be an issue with any, like, if you're not one of the top teams, if you're not a Purdy Curdy basically, or like any of the other top IGL, like an H-Win or just a top IGL in PCS, like people aren't. Yeah, I mean, he's too new. Okay, he's still.
What do you mean? He's owning.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying he's not, but
I know. I'm
just
just messing with you.
the point. Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is basically like it's very easy to have faith and trust in someone like Kurt, like H-Win, like who the top when you're performing well. Like it's very easy to be like, okay, like he's gonna lead us to a top 5 for sure. But it's like when you're like struggling through a tournament or you're like on the cusp, and then it's like your IGL makes a call and it gets you all killed. It's like I don't know. It's always gonna be that like like is this guy the right guy to be able to lead us? And then, like, unfortunately, that's how it is. Obviously, it shouldn't be that way. Like, you want to be able to have somebody that you have the utmost faith in and confidence, but like when new teams are thrown together and a lot of these rosters aren't rosters that like have been together for very long, you know, that's going to be a common thing amongst them all.
For sure. For sure. But with that said, let us migrate on to the next topic, because I think maybe this will be a little bit more beneficial for a lot of teams, and I'd really like to hear the insight from all four of you. But that would be our deep dive into team synergy. So
Shit, that's what I was just talking about. Let's go.
yeah, let's go, because you know we've talked about it so many times over that you know the teams need cohesion, they need balance as a team, and this, that, and the third, and the strengths and weaknesses, and just some of the mistakes that literally could be shored up by just having better team synergy overall. And it's clear that like obviously the top teams have great synergy in comparison to the teams that maybe haven't played together as long, or just they haven't quite found that connection, right? But yeah, let's dive a little deeper. Trevor, let's start with you about what really makes a team work and team synergy.
You know, I kind of said this to like Wolf can attest this too, even when he was on our team. But like the biggest like thing is you have to have four people that are friends and they have fun together. Like they don't get tired of each other, because that makes it when they and you have those like tough conversations or whatever. Like I can honestly say like the guys on my team are like some of my best friends, and they're each other's best friends. And because of that, they have a similar work ethic and they want to work together. Like Rello, he told me the other day, like he doesn't even want to play PUBG competitively ever if he's not with Snakers or with Balefrost. Like he's like, it just sounds like a headache if I have to play with anyone else. Like they just have this bond that's formed over time, and that's what makes like a team so great. That's why STK is so great. Like a lot of the reasons, and we'll speak to that in a second, I'm sure. But they've been together so long, it's like they don't even have to think about what the other guy's gonna do. They just know what he's gonna do, and then they have all these inside jokes, and there's all these layers of the friendship, and all these things just add up over time. And that, and then obviously that comes with a level of respect for each other, and respect for like me as well as the coach role, and I'm sure the other coaches carry that within their own teams. But like I feel like I may be one of the only people in this world that I can call out Snakers on his shit and shut him down immediately, like and he'll listen to. Besides maybe his dad. I don't know. I met his dad in Sweden. His dad's got a pretty good leash on him, but there's just the biggest thing about having a good team in my mind is the ability for four people to get along. They could spend, you're in a relationship with these people. You spend, 10, 12 hours a day with them sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like my big thing. And I'd love to, I think we'll definitely keep talking about this. I want to hear from the other guys too, especially Gunner. I'm really interested because they have obviously a great thing going over in his camp.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest thing for my team for sure.
All right. Well, with that said, let's go on to Gunner then. Gunner, let's hear it, man.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like he was saying, like, everybody on our team trusts each other, like, completely. And it's like, I think most of the people know how much of like a family we really are. Like it's crazy, like these group of guys is the closest I've ever been to like a group of guys since I was in Iraq in the Marine Corps. Like the bond that you form there is really it's hard to explain almost, and I never really had um, that same experience since until like meeting these guys really. And that, I mean, that's one of the reasons obviously why we do well. Like, I mean, of course, like we like the players themselves are just like mechanically amazing and they just are experienced. But getting into like a team fight and just having the chemistry and the synergy and the comms, like, and just having a general idea of like what your teammate is doing, and like even the smallest thing of like knowing um like their voice, like as odd as that sounds, right? But like I I could tell, like if I could tell Purdy's in real trouble without why, like when I obviously when we are in PCS, right, we're 10 minutes behind but we're listening to comms. I swear, I like if I know if Purdy's going to get knocked, and I know if he's going to make a play just literally off of his breathing and his comms, the way he's talking, right? Like, and everyone is kind of like that. Like we just know each other so well at this point that it's just it's like muscle memory. What
This is
are
a
you gonna
fun
say?
conversation. I was gonna say this is like a fun conversation because of the 10-minute Vine thing you mentioned. It's like I can almost. I don't know if you have a similar experience, Gunner or Ryan, but like when they're playing their games and like we all have our call outs, like I feel like I can see the game playing out. Like I almost like
Yeah,
sometimes
oh, yeah.
you sit back, I almost watch with my eyes closed, and they'll be like, okay, we're pushing moon rocks. Okay, there's 2 in the shack on Death Road, like, and they're making call outs, and like you said, I can tell off their emotions, like if Snaker's gonna run out in the open and make some 4x barrel play, or like I can tell I can tell how stressed Rello is in that moment if he needs to make a play just off his voice. Like that's such a. I always explain to them like I literally sometimes when they like break out in a fight and I can tell the stress, I have to.
They're gonna win the fight too.
Sometimes I have to mute the comms, like for one, because it's so stressful for me. Like I mute the comms for like 5 seconds, so I'm like, oh shit, like they're gonna live because if they win this fight, they're gonna win the game, and then like I'll unmute it like 5 seconds later, and then it doesn't matter. I'm 10 minutes behind anyway, and I can't talk to him anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, it's so funny that it's such a similar experience I have with my guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, I mean, that's a perfect example of like team synergy in like a top team kind of environment, right? Like it's just like as completely different of people and players like my team is from Oath. Like I'm sure the experiences and like the I guess like for instance the comms are similar, right? Like a lot of people will know us for like good comms and stuff, but like I imagine for Oath I imagine like their comms are probably pretty good too. Like I mean, aside from like the freaking Snakers clips you see on Twitter where they're crashing like the yellow house and shit.
I think the difference
They just do that for fun,
like, the difference between your team and my team, I think your team's a lot calmer than my team when they're calming.
Yeah, we are very, very calm.
Like I've listened to Unported comms. I know like takes two, like when he used to sub with you a bit and he would stream and like everyone, to all respect to Kurt, he's probably like the best calmer in this game. Like
he's a calm guy.
He stays calm and he speaks well and he asks his players what he needs and they work with them long enough they respond. But I mean my team's like it's a similar but like everyone's got a lot more energy I feel like and I don't even know if that could be to their detriment sometimes. But everyone's still there's a lot of like talking. Some people talk loudly, some people do quietly. And I can tell you that is something that we look to your team and we try to like steal things from. Like we always try to get better and we say like what does STK have over us? Like they calm better than us. Like that's one of the big things what we say. We're fully confident we could roll you in a fight, but you guys might be better at calming those. That's just how we feel. Obviously, you feel different, but that's just something like another example of working together, having a similar mindset, working towards a goal together. But that bond that the team shares is definitely, and this is something I learned a lot. I mean, we have Wolf here. I will openly say that Wolf's like my best friend in this world. Like straight up, because we were on EG 2 years ago when I was only on that team for about 3 months before it all fell apart. But the bond we had on that team with Wolf, Disciple, and Ben Q5 at the time, like I literally consider everybody in that team like brothers. Like, and it's like you said, it's unexplainable, and that's just like a bond you share with them. Like I can DM Mike, Disciple, like any day of the week, and I'll just have we'll have some dumb joke that was from 4 years ago, 3 years ago now. Wolf and I can DM Disciple right now about how to crash the yellows west of Gatka, and then Wolf's already laughing from Tempo Reds. And we had an argument for a week and a half about this, and Disciple to this day does not agree with Wolf and I, and like little things like that. And I don't know, it's something special, and I think that's what it's going to take for like other teams to like ever get to our level. Is like you got to stick together with your boys and really understand them. I call my team my boys or like my children jokingly, like, but it's like I care about their well-beings. I make sure, like, I mean, Jake's really on top of his stuff, Snakers, but like, he prioritizes school as well as like his school career is just as important to me as his PUBG career. Like, because I know how much he values it. And sometimes, like, we're not scrimming tomorrow because Jake has a lot of homework to do. And I explained that to the team, and they respect that because they understand, like, he's got an essay due, and that's just what it is. He put it off till the end of the week, and we had to do some other scrims this week that we were forced to do. He was probably going to do it Monday. And it's like a brotherhood like that that's formed. That's what makes teams great, you know, and it makes, I feel, you know, honored to have been able to share it with them. It's something that I'll remember forever. So, and I've been lucky enough to have multiple of these. So,
Yeah, me too, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when I played, yeah.
Like my original team, still none of them play the game anymore. They're still some of my best friends that I ever made. And then my team with Wolf, and then now this team. So,
For sure.
All right, they're finally done talking, the two of them.
all right, Ryan, go ahead. Yeah.
Jesus.
Let's go, Rad.
It's a bad idea to have me on here. I already won.
I'm happy guys here finally, man.
All right. Well, I think one of the points that I want to bring up is that I think you like need to have somebody on your team that just makes it fun to play.
Yes.
Because obviously, like at times this can kind of get,
Monotonous.
I can't remember the other word, like that brings you down. Like it just, like when things go wrong, like it can get you down, and to have somebody that can just lighten the mood and just make things like make it still like fun. Like I know, like I used to help Owen with SCK quite a bit. I know that like Alo and Civ, they're just constantly joking, and even like in the comms, they'll be throwing jokes out there, like saying, like Alo will just like throw out like, "Hey, you guys want to do this?" And Kurt's like, "No, you idiot, stop!" like all the time. But like
That's when Alo yells counter call.
yeah. So like, and I'm sure that like you've already basically said it, Trevor, that like you got, you know, your boys are all having fun, joking around with each other. Like
I mean, we spend more time laughing
Yeah.
than playing.
And
some
honestly,
days.
like when I'm sitting here thinking of like the top teams, I'm thinking like they all have like that one or two players that is just like just really you enjoy having them around. Like at Sonics, I can say Shrimsy and Tig, they're always going to be, you know, having jokes or throwing jokes out there, having a good time like while playing the game. Like I just feel like the top teams also have the most fun. And I mean, you could say that like that goes with winning, that goes with having success. Like but like I can't imagine them, even when they're not finding success, that they're not like still enjoying being around each other. And when that's not there, like that's when you start to like see the team start to kind of like fall apart, and then perform like it's like once the team starts to perform poorly, and then like it just continues to go down because it's like because they can't ever seem to recover, and like their relationships can't recover, if that makes sense. And so that's the point that I want to make up. Make.
Like someone, I think Gunner mentioned the Snakers clips. You see that from when I was on the team, that is literally what you just said, is him being stupid, or someone on the team doing something stupid or yelling, calling everyone in the lobby trash just to make everyone else happy and smile, you know. That's
like, I got one even just from like today in scrims. Like Bale's car was flipped and Snaker's just pushing the buggy upside down for like 50 feet. They hit a rock and they both went flying. But like no one's paying attention to it because I'm on the map stream. And all of a sudden you just hear Bale and Snaker's just like giggling to themselves for like, you know, a minute. It's like, what's going on, you idiot?
Yeah, I'm sure you all remember the clip of PCS1 when Snakers flipped his car in Graveyard and asked Rello to flip it back up. And Snakers lives and Rello blows up and dies. And all you hear is everyone, you hear half of us just laughing our ass off. And then I think you hear Bale going, "How are you dead?" Everyone's just laughing. And you know, people, you got to have that for sure on teams. Like,
and at the same time that we have this fun environment, it's like everybody has the same goal in mind. It's kind of getting back to what we were talking about the challenger teams. Like, we expect to win this tournament. Gunner's team, they expect to win this tournament. You know, and like, I'm sure it's same with the other guys. Like, you know, my team chat, while it was funny clips, like I can look at my Discord, the team right now, they're all watching the VODs, like, you know, and they're talking about it, and they're all watching it on their own. Like Bale's typing, like, we're actually talking about Rumblers, kind of funny. He's like, "What the heck's Rumblers doing here, Circle 1?" Yeah, and they just go into that stuff. Like as soon as it's over, like they live in. stuff.
Out of curiosity, is it on one of the melted power zones? Because we were really wondering what they were doing too on one of those zones.
No, it was the.
I know what game you're talking about.
It wasn't.
you
It wasn't. It wasn't.
probably
That.
do.
It was the first Miramar game when they four-manned the low ground apartments, Circle 1, and everyone's like, "Why are they low?" But anyway, because they they loot church, so they have full priority to everything. But
They got poon real good there.
I don't know. We were playing our own game. I didn't see Palpoon died, but anyway, but like I'm not just like. I don't need to tell these guys to watch VODs. Like I don't need to tell them to play the game. They all have. If we have a bad day of scrims, like the mood won't be fun. Like they already know. Like all of them, if they individually messed up or they whatever happened. Like and I'm part of that as well. Like my mood. I can kind of carry with the team as well. Like, and I can tell when things are going really good and when things are going bad. And like I try to bring it up. Like bring the mood up, and I'm part of the discussion, we, we'll discuss how we want to play out a circle. And like, I might remind them like a circle pops, like, remember we talked about this, and everyone's like really into that conversation. And that's like the fun part about it. Like, so you can, because we're such good friends, because we have everything we just talked about, you can get like really into like the heavy stuff or whatever. And it's not an issue. Like I can tell Snakers, he's being an absolute idiot. And he'll be like, yeah, I was. Actually, sometimes he'll yell at you. He'll go eat dinner. He'll come back 2 hours later, and he's really nice. And then he's like, "Oh, my bad, guys." But that's a joke we make. But it's just fun that way. Like I don't know, it's a cool experience. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Was there anything anybody else wanted to add about team synergy and what makes it work?
I think everything was pretty much covered. Like it even started before with the counter calling thing. Teams that have good synergy trust each other.
Yeah,
so
trust is huge.
Let's I'll use like STK for an example. I could be wrong, but obviously most of them are going to listen to Purdy, but Alo might have like this perfect play in his head for something and call it. And I would assume that everyone on the team trusts him. Like, wow, we need to do that. Like, Alo is very sure that's the play.
Yeah, if somebody's like, this is going to be the game-winning play. Like, I don't know. Maybe not, Gunner.
No,
I don't know if Alo is the right pick there.
What do you think?
Luke has the game. If Luke has the game-winning goal,
Luke maybe, sure. I don't know about Alo or Civ. I feel like they would.
Every team I've been on has had something like that. I feel like.
No, I mean, honestly, like, and to be very honest with our team, like, most of the time, people are we're just feeding info, and then obviously, like, Purdy will make a decision off of that. But it is like, I mean, it's very rare that someone is just like, I mean, it almost never happens where Purdy will make a call and someone will be like, no, let's do this. Like, I don't even think it's ever really happened before, but
yeah,
maybe
that's
I'm wrong.
Definitely a difference in your team and my team for sure. Yeah. Then because I mean, Rolo will call the early stuff for us, and and like he goes over the VODs a lot, and he kind of has an idea where people play, and but anybody can make a call like on my team, and anyone will go with it. Like Snakers sometimes screams like, "We have to do this right now," and like we just do that right now, like, and there's no hesitation.
Yeah, and like with us, like
Bale makes a lot of calls. Like it's a full round table.
Yeah, like so most of the time we're making a play off of the information that they're providing, right? So for instance, like we used Alo as an example. If Alo sees like, okay, like yellow is open, we could probably play into it in this zone. Like basically that information is collected from the team and we do it, right? But it's never really like
he doesn't demand things from his teammates.
No. Like nobody really ever like demands anything. We usually just we'll relay the information and then we make a decision, or Purdy makes a decision basically. But
you've been together so long.
That's just how we work, really. Like we just get a lot of info. That's what our team is best at, really.
I think we also just need to clarify that this is mostly in regards of like the movement of the team. Like when it comes down to team fights, you're not going to be sitting there like no IGL is going to sit there and tell each player exactly how to play a team fight out. Like as the fight is happening. Like I'm sorry, but there's no IGL in the game that can just perfect.
There's no
without
one
him.
good enough
Yeah.
to do that.
That's actually something that we recently have worked on a lot. Like I think if you paid attention to the group stage, like our team fighting got significantly better in the last 2 weeks because we purposely go into each team fight with. I tell everyone to play their life. That's a big thing. Like, don't die for your teammate. If your teammate effed up and made a mistake and he gets knocked, we don't maybe throw smoke his way, but finish the fight first. Don't die for someone else's mistake. That's a big thing. We had going. Rello, was a big thing for him, individually. He started calling, he had a lot more responsibilities. And when I think sometimes when you're calling, you kind of have this you keep in your mind where it's like a chessboard, and you know where your teammates are. And he started really playing to res somebody if they effed up. And I just told Rel, I was like, dude, you're the best player in this game, because he is. And I said, just kill him. Just play the game.
Play to win the fight.
These are the same people you play against all day long, and the same teams you run into in ranked, the same whatever. He solo queues ranks and wins game with 20 kills. I'm like, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Just go kill, and he really picked up his killing in the last 2 weeks.
You got to value your own life, and you really have to trust your teammates. It's
Yeah, I think that's the big thing in team fights specifically, is being able to trust your teammates, because you're not going to want to make a move if you don't think that your teammate is going to have your back, or be there for a trade or something,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want my team to just think. I just want them to be confident that they're going to kill everyone individually, and then they just do that most of the time. So it works out.
Damn. Well, let me ask you guys real quick, while I still have all of you here, what do you think goes into making a team get better at team fights? Because we've seen the team fight be the aspect of which a lot of teams struggle. If there was anything you guys could add specifically for adjusting and kind of growing your team in terms of team fights, what would you suggest? And I guess what was that?
Can I start with that?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to throw out, I think the number one thing that a team is going obviously there's a lot to it, but I think the first and foremost when it comes to a team winning a team fight over another team, or just what makes a team good at team fighting, I think for that specific team it's going to come down to actual experienced team fighting as a team. It just comes down to actually having that practice and that time together of fighting, because I don't think there's going to be anything that is a better teacher than actually doing it. You can't you can sit there and try to simulate team fights or talk about oh, this team or the ideal way to do a team fight, but there's nothing better, or there's no better teacher than the actual battlefield itself, basically. And so it's without going out and actually just team fighting, you're my team likes to do rank together, especially when they're not scrimming, which we don't do that as much as we used to anymore. And I mean, you can still get practice fighting other teams as a team. Even if the other players are not as skilled, but just how you talk to each other, how you approach the fight, how you move, that's going to be the number one teacher there. So
couldn't agree more.
Team fighting, it just comes down to playing the game. I think
exactly.
A lot.
Yep.
Nobody puts more time. A lot. Nobody puts more time into this game than Rello does. I mean, or last night I think he had 4 30 kill games last night. He's just posting them in their team chat. Got another one. Got another one. Got another one.
Hard to argue against Los. I mean,
okay.
I didn't want to say it, but
I'm sorry, but I don't think anyone grinds this game more than Los does.
They have two different styles of how they play.
Okay, that's what I was going to get. This is what I'm getting at with what Ryan just said. Los plays when I watch it, and I have mad respect to Los, of course. He's been around forever. But he plays to win each game, it feels like, when he plays ranked.
Oh,
and
he's super serious about winning, and that's all he cares about. Yep.
When it comes to direct team, Rello plays ranked as a solo to go kill everybody in the lobby. He plays it like a pub match. He'll hot drop people. He'll kill them. He'll crash a solo in a 4-man compound. He's constantly putting him in. He's constantly getting reps at fighting. And that's why he's such a great fighter in the real game. And same thing with the rest of my team. I think all Pat and Bale do is play TDM. Maybe Bale plays some pubs, but I know all Pat does is play TDM. And that's all they work on outside of scrims, outside of the competitive mindset of a scrim level lobby, at our level, that kind of a lobby, is just team fighting. That's the only thing they work on in the regular game. So then when it comes to like rotations and working as a team, they just get that done in the normal time. And I think Snakers is putting in like 4.5 hours a week right now into PUBG. So like, you know, he's really holding his own.
It's more than me. But I think the point, or to make a point as to how Los approaches it completely different than Relo, is like Los will actually get upset with his friends and teammates if he feels that they trolled in a ranked game, or if they did something for fun instead of like trying to win. Like he'll actually get mad at you.
Yeah, Relo is all about having fun. Like I have more fun with that kid than anybody. Like he just has some funny K Kona accent, you know, yeehaw brother, let's get in there. Like, you know, and like, oh, what a rush. Like, let's just, oh my God, look at this. He Winchester me. Oh, damn. Like he just will have fun like the whole time. And that's like, I think that's what keeps the game fresh for him, though. That's his way of like not getting burnt out. And like, he makes every situation fun for him. That's why he can still put in the same hours he has for, you know, going on 2 years straight. So, like, my team will only work on team fighting outside of competitive. And that's why they're, I think, arguably the best team fighting team in North America. So,
Gotcha.
I mean, you know, we're going to disagree there, but it is.
I mean, yeah, it's like that. You know, that game we lost in scrims yesterday because, you know, Pat slowed it down. He had 2 bullets go straight into Luke's forehead. Luke disappears from his screen completely, and then 2 bullets come flying in and knock Pat out of nowhere. And he's like, but Luke was 5 feet behind the wall. And then we lost.
Oh, gosh.
But, you know, that's fine. You know, maybe we'll just start VPNing. Then we'll be the greatest team ever. So,
I mean, look, I would say it happened on land, but I mean,
we don't want to bring up Oath and land.
We don't want to bring up.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. So,
I wasn't there. Gunner,
I don't know if your team has been watching the lands at least that we play. And however,
stayed home for that
Luke does pretty good on land.
No one's shitting on Luke for.
I know. I'm busting your balls.
Everyone respects Luke like completely. He's a great player, but there is an argument to be made when there's a player that good with that high of pick. That's just what it comes down to, because he is able to take advantage of it better than anyone else could because he is such a good player.
And I watch him 8 hours a day and see how much he gets screwed by it. So I have a completely different opinion.
That is fair, but there are certain situations where he sees somebody for a half second longer, and because he is so good, he can take advantage of that half second.
Luke,
I'm not talking about ping on here. I'm telling you right now, because I will start laying into all the whiners and the complainers and everything else, and I don't want to do that. So
honestly,
we're gonna move on
from
the
ping
thing.
more. That's all I'm gonna say is Luke needs to complain more and be as vocal as everybody else. Because I know that Luke doesn't do that, and he sits there and just accepts the fact that like he just got fucked over.
Just knows he's better, so it doesn't matter. Next point, next topic. Let's move on. Luke knows he's better, and it's simple as that. And he's proved it time and time again, internationally, on land. What does he have to prove to fucking mime? What does he have to prove to mime complaining to him? You know what I mean? Like, he has nothing to prove. Mime went to one land and complained that a freaking referee was standing behind him, moving his desk, and that's why he performed poorly. Why would Luke 12 have to answer to that? That is just mind blowing.
No, I'm not saying anything bad about Luke.
What you know?
Like, I'm not coming on Luke personally.
But
I mean, I know.
I'm still untested on land. You can't say anything. Come on.
Oh man. Wolf was.
Don't get me started on the ping thing. Just don't do it. Just move on.
Moving on.
What's up, Wolf? Do you want to talk about some team fights at all, or anything about that, real quick?
I think everyone pretty much covered it, but it all comes like the team synergy thing. Team fighting comes down to a lot of it's communication, obviously. Like, you want everyone to be saying what they're doing, and then if everything is properly communicated, or at least somebody on the team communicates what each person's doing, the others should know what that means, and they are able to take advantage of that by themselves to win a fight. So if someone says that they're like holding like an off angle from right or left, then someone else on the team knows that, okay, they have an off angle. I need to play aggro. I need to bait these guys to shoot at me, because then he'll knock 2. And then you're in either a 3v2 or a 4v2 at that point. And it's like a free win. And the good players and good teams know how to play around each other to take advantage of those situations. And it's where they'll just walk over the worst teams. Because like say you take like Oath and they're fighting one of the Challenger League teams. The Challenger League teams, you watch them, they'll just kind of death ball around. They'll just sit on their cover, not move, not reposition. A good team will walk up on them and they'll have a good spread. They'll have someone playing an off angle, maybe two. They'll have one guy pulling aggro and the rest of the team just collapses on them, gets 2 free knocks and the fight's over. So it's like, it really comes down to, again, trusting your teammates. You know, having everyone communicate what they're doing and then just taking advantage of that. And like the best teams just, they make it look easy compared to the others every time they fight.
I would have
It's
to
not
agree.
easy.
I would have to
So much
agree.
can go wrong,
Oh yeah.
Man.
especially since you have to take into consideration that there's all the other teams in the lobby.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not easy to just be able to take a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most
knowing your off angles and where you can be
Mhm.
shot from as well is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I would
Especially
agree.
late game.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that I believe that is about all we have for you guys in terms of topics. We covered quite the bit today. I would say overall we've given a lot of insight to a lot of teams, if nothing else. But gentlemen, I thank you again for another episode of Phase 10. I appreciate everybody showing up and everything like that. We will be back. I think we're going to be doing a switch to Tuesdays moving forward just because of the dates for the next tournament coming up. So you guys will see us, I believe, at the same time. However, we'll make a more official announcement on Twitter, but probably
Next
same time,
Tuesday.
but Tuesday moving forward, at least until, future tournaments and whatever the case might be. But yeah, guys, as always, thank you guys. It's a privilege as well as a pleasure to have you all on here. Being honest and everything, in between, I appreciate it so very much. And everybody watching, thank you guys for making it. I'll be back soon with some more games, and that is basically it. But thank you guys so much for coming. Appreciate you guys.
And thanks for having me.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Thanks
you.
for filling in, Wolf. Yeah.
Thank you guys. We'll be back in a moment.